Good morning, everybody. Yes, it's another solo show today. I swear to God, I think that if we had chosen Fridays to be the day that we were going to do the vlogs, everything would have ended up happening on Fridays. But the second we choose Monday, all of a sudden now all the appointments and all the nonsense is happening on a Monday. So it's just me today with you guys this Monday, December 15th, 2025. Thank you for joining me today. Please keep me company. Oh my goodness. But no, I have a lot to talk about today. So I think we can handle the show by ourselves again today. Although it's always more fun when Nita is around. But what happened is that her internet went down. I guess they're doing some kind of like upgrade in her neighborhood, and they said that, oh, we're gonna have it, we're gonna finish at like around 11:15, which means in contractor speak they're not going to be done until 3:30. so so that's what's going on. It's just you and me and the internet today. So I guess we might as well get this started. And of course I am never ready for this, so I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna hit it. So welcome everybody to another episode of the Ragin 2 the Vlogs show. Although today we are the Ragin 1 because like I said, Nita's not going to be on the show today because the internet in her neighborhood went down. And they're not going to, and you know how it goes. Whenever the city wants to fix something, it's like, look, all we can guarantee that whatever it is they're fixing, they'll be done before 4 o'clock. Because those are usually the hours the city takes. And I think it's usually between like 7 and 4 that they start working on stuff, and then that's pretty much it. So hopefully by next Monday, we will have Nita back with us, because like I said, the show's just not the same without her. So oh my goodness. So who's joining me today? So, hello, Lou. Hello. And good morning, Joseph. Hello. Hello. And yes, I see you, my beautiful eyeball people watching from regions beyond. If you're joining me from any other link other than directly on YouTube, come on over to YouTube, join the sexy people in the chat, keep them company. And while you're here, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live. So let me see. So okay, so where am I? I'm always a mess on these shows, Jesus. So I guess we might as well just get this started officially. So hello everyone, my name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and you know what that means.
You don't understand. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
And I am the artist for the Furry Fantasy Adventure Tall Tales and the creator of Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, a medieval fantasy drama you can read online at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. And if you are following the Kickstarters for Eagle Raven, the pre-launch for Eagle Raven issue 12 is now available The link is in the chat and in the show notes. I'm currently working on issue 12, so I don't have an exact date as to when I'm going to launch, but I am trying really hard to get this book finished by the end of the month. So if you want to make sure you don't miss out on the Kickstarter for Eagle Raven issue 12, sign up for the Kickstarter pre-launch, hit notify me, and you will get notified through your email the second the campaign goes live. Also, you can check out all my videos on how I make my comics here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage art. 600. So actually, we're now at 700 plus videos in the archive talking about everything art related, and pretty much now it's pretty much everything. I don't go too random on my channel, so it's usually art related. So 700 videos that you can choose from speed paints and tutorials and our previous live streams and my previous draw streams. If you missed anything, it's all there. And thank you for everybody who's been signing up and being subscribers to the channel. I've been seeing a bit of a bump recently, and I'm very happy that people like my stuff enough that they want to subscribe and always have my videos show up in their inbox. So thank you so much for that. Also one last thing in housekeeping. Thank you everybody who has supported House of Bob, my furry sketchbook collection. Now, well, it's currently on Kickstarter. We have 1 week left on the campaign. Thank you so much for the tremendous support everyone has been showing for it. And today is the last day for you to be able to guarantee to be able to get my original art blind bag. I made 12 blind bags, which contains 12 4x6. There's 4x6 original art pieces that can be a sketch, that could be a color marker piece, that could be a pen and ink piece. It's a blind bag, so you don't know what you're going to get. So I had wanted to make sure that everybody got a chance to get one, without too much hassle. So they were available as a level, which means that if you pledge to the level, you're guaranteed one blind bag. So at noon today, that level is going to close, and I'm going to take the remaining blind bags and put them in the add-on section. So if you're the type of person who likes to buy multiples of a blind box or blind bag or whatever, after 12 o'clock, you will be able to do that with the art blind bags. I think that when I last checked, there was 8 bags left. There was 8 of those left. So those will be going in the add-on section after the level closes, and then you don't have to worry about only being restricted to one. You can get all the rest of the 8 if you want. So we have 1 more week left on the entire campaign, and also just a reminder that this is also the only time you'll be able to get a commission from me. There's still a couple of open slots left for the commissions. So if you want to get original artwork from me of your OC or fan art or whatever it is that you want, you're going to be able to do that on this campaign. So again, thank you everybody who has supported. So, there we go. So there we go. I might as well just use that this feature to show the comments. So on the screen. Oh my goodness. So from our last episode where we all heard the harrowing story of my missing Furry Fandom Archive. So for those of you just joining and you didn't see the previous episode of the vlog, I was talking about how I had found out that an entire 10 years worth of art archive was missing from my storage, my art storage box. I have no idea where it went. I still haven't found it. But then again, after the last episode, I really didn't make an effort to continue looking for it. But all is not lost. All is not lost. I did put out a post. I put a post up on Fur Affinity asking for anybody who collected my artwork between 1990 and 2000 to contact me and see if I could borrow people's collections or get scans of the missing artwork so that I would have like some kind of archive. So and it turns out there were there were enough people who came forward, and I already have a complete set of one of my portfolios. And I have another person who is sending me pretty much their entire collection to me for me to have. Like, pretty much they were in a situation where it's like, well, I don't want to risk this ending up at the bottom of a dumpster because their family is not really into this type of stuff. So if anything were to happen to him, his family is just going to throw everything out. So at least this gave him the opportunity to at least send me the work back, because at least he'll know, short of me losing everything again, that the stuff will be at least safer with me than, with him and his family. So I'm very excited to see, like, it sounded like he pretty much had almost everything, and he especially had one particular book that I was especially looking forward to because it's like, that's like 96 pages right there of artwork that I can scan in. And hopefully there'll be, I'll be able to like edit everything enough so that I can, like, re-release everything into more sketchbooks. So we'll see. So like I said, there's hope for the archive. And of course, probably, because you know how it goes. Once I get like the archive pretty much rebuilt again, that's where I'm going to find the original archive I was looking for. So so that's pretty much the update for my little fiasco. So yeah, so I'm hoping that that saga is over with for now. So yeah, so also, yeah, I think that's like kind of like, in terms of what's been going on recently, has been, yeah, it's like I said, it kind of like, in the end, it kind of like worked out. The other thing that like I had mentioned before, it's like I am currently inking and prepping Eagle Raven issue 12 for color. I have about like 13 pages left on this issue, which is actually 36 pages. It's a little bit, it's a smidge longer than the previous issues. But yeah, so I have 13 pages left. So my goal is to have the inks and pretty much the shading done by the end of the month, so that all I have to do is just put in the flat colors and that's it. Of course, I realized that I had made a mistake with I had made a mistake in a couple of pages that I figure it's like I can go back and fix. It's not that big of a deal. It's like I have like kind of like daytime coloring when it's really supposed to be kind of like a dusk coloring. So I have to like mute the shading down a bit so that it fits what like the timeline of. But then again, that's what I get for working backwards. Instead of working from page 1, which is a direct continuation of the last page of issue 11, I started from the last page. And because of that, I kind of got the shading wrong on the earlier part of the book because I started skipping pages and I got the shading wrong on the early part of the books that actually takes place more like closer to nighttime as opposed to the ending that takes place during the daytime. So so that's pretty much where I am right now. Once I have everything inked and shaded, like I said, the flats usually don't take me that long because it's literally what it sounds like. It's just me just dropping in the base colors, and because I did everything else, the layer settings does the rest of the work. So once I have like all the pages inked and shaded, then I will announce an actual release date for the Kickstarter for issue 12. I'm really looking to launch it in January, but we'll see. It's like I like I said, it's like um I don't like doing the work that close to a launch, but ever since I kind of like ran out of buffer for the work that I'm doing, it's like now I'm literally where before it's like it was just getting the work colored and then just releasing it. It wasn't that big of a deal. Now it's like I'm actually doing a little bit like I'm actually inking, and and it's like and so far it's like I've been hitting a lot closer to the launch date than I'm comfortable with. But as long as the book is pretty much done by the time I'm launching, it's fine. Um I got like it was I had a bit of a close call on the last one, but I was able to get the books out at delivered to Kickstarter backers around around the schedule that I usually have for these campaigns. So as long as I keep my schedule the way it is, I'll be fine. So yeah, so there has been some really like I don't know interesting talk recently, or at least in my head there's been interesting talk. Yesterday on Jose's show, JD Calderon's show, talking comics on a Sunday, they were talking about like what are you as a creator are you looking forward to in 2026, and oh hey HR, hello. And and it's like, everybody, what's really funny is that, everybody was talking about, it's like we're talking about like, oh, they had their books optioned, they're going to get movies done or this, that, and the other thing, like really like lofty goals for 2026, right? But I think the one that really stood out the most for me was Tom Hutchinson was talking about what is it oh yeah, like actually like his whole thing, it's like, oh brother, it's like his whole thing was hold on, let me just check something here. So was actually finishing his book. So which doesn't sound like a big deal, you would think, but It actually is when I was really, really thinking about it, because that's actually what I want to accomplish for the uh for 2026 is finish my book. It's like I have after issue 12, I have 4 issues left on let's see, where am I? I have 4 issues left on the series for Eagle Raven, and that's my goal for 2026 is to finish inking and coloring those 4 issues. The only thing is that I don't know if I'll be able to actually release those 4 issues next year, because again, like I said, I'm working on these books at the same time. It's like, so it's not like I have a buffer, but what I was like really thinking about was oh, hey Melissa, hello, hello. You know, there we go. um that I don't know. It was just like the whole thing about finishing the series, and like really thinking about it. It's like, in as long as I've done comics, there is literally a very small percentage of people who actually finish their books. Um, there's a lot more people who flame out at issue 3 if they even get that far. And then there are people who actually finish a story arc, or they finish or they complete their story. And so it's like, so the idea of like, oh, my big goal is to finish my story is actually kind of like a bigger goal than most comic creators actually accomplish. Um so it kind of like really hit me that, like when these other guys are talking about, oh, I got my book optioned, I got, oh, we're going to be doing a movie, when in the end it's like, well, but is your story finished? Like, what difference does it make, this other stuff, if your story's not done? And I don't know, and it's like, and it just really like, you know just kind of like pointed it out to me as to like people get wrapped up in lofty goals for their books. It's like the amount of people say, oh, my story is at this 120 page epic, 120 issue epic, or it's 30 chapters, and each chapter is like 100 pages or something like that, I don't know. And they, and then it's like, and they're more concerned about like getting a Netflix deal than finishing their story. And I don't know, it's like, it's kind of like a weird sense of priorities. Like, it's almost like they expect that selling their property to Netflix is going to be easier than actually finishing it. um so yeah, so that's my goal. Melissa says that finishing the book is sometimes easier said than done. Yeah, it's but it's like, but in the end, it's like, what's really the cause of that? You know, it's like, because okay, so kind of like related to the topic. So, friend of the show, but just I would like to think friend in general, Visenia Lindsay, who does the comic no, that's Celestial Pulse. Um she was talking about how she hasn't been able to work on the comic for a while. And she's just, due to whatever. And and it's like, um, and now just recently she's just slowly beginning to get back to it. I think like the last issue she published was issue 10, I think. Issue 9 or issue 10. And I remember when she originally spoke about the book, she was talking about how it was supposed to be like, I don't know, like 30 issues or something. I don't quite remember what it was, but it was supposed to be a rather lengthy project. And now that she's kind of getting back into it, she was talking about going back to, I guess, like the rest of the story that she has to tell and editing it down. Her and her husband were editing the book down so that it would be like a much shorter road to finish, as opposed to like, you know, um, drawing out these 30 issues or whatever it was that she was talking about. And from what I got from the way she was talking was that she had wanted to finish the book more out of an obligation to the readers who were committed to the story, i.e., me being one of them. But I guess like if it wasn't for that, it's like she wouldn't, I guess she wouldn't have finished the story. And I think that what that tells me that maybe like 30 issues was a little bit too lofty. That maybe like if she could edit down the story to fit, like to be able to finish it sooner and like kind of like wrap up everything. I mean, I'm happy either way. It's like honestly, I would rather she do that, shorten the story and like finish it, um rather than just kind of have the story fizzle out. And and it's like, and her not finish it at all. I mean, like I said, there's more people who just disappear and you never see an ending to their story than actually finish their books. So, so either way, I'm okay with whatever decision that she makes, especially since that she was saying that she has a publisher who wants to publish Celestial Pulse as like a manga sized edition. And I am so there. I am ready to pick that up. So whenever that launches on Kickstarter, like I'm already committed to this story. So however she wants to finish it is fine. Um Granted, I would prefer an actual ending. So if that means like cutting out a lot of the other side quests in the story just for her to finish the one main storyline, I'm okay with that. That's, we can worry about side quests later, which kind of leads me to the topic about having hobbies, right? Because sometimes we get so thick in the weeds of what we do as kind of like a profession. And I use that word very, very loosely because um there's just as many people. There are more people who think they're running a comic book business when they're not. So I use the word profession very, very loosely. Um so Nicholas says the scope of a project is so hard to predict, and burnout, overwhelm is such a thing. Hates and Hellfire was supposed to be a little short in the Through the Thinning Veil, and I'm at 37K into book 2. Yeah, because I think that's probably what happens to most people, where it's like, they have the good idea, and then once they start writing it, look, it's like stories go where they want. That's why they said that the magic is in the editing. Because the first drafts are always supposed to be, let the story go where, write whatever you want, let the story go where it wants to, and then once you're done, then you edit that down to like a more reasonable narrative, right? But the thing about comics is that there's never that, it's very rare that there's ever like a first draft phase that people like they write out their story and then it's like, oh, I know exactly, it's like this is where it starts, this is where it ends, this is the adventure in the middle, and I can tell you for absolute certainty that this is going to be X amount of issues, right? And but most people don't do comics that way. They usually have the good idea, they do the first issue, they try to sell that first issue, they're going to conventions or whatever. And then what happens is that because they only got that far as the first issue, when the story starts to meander, and when they're writing the story, then all of a sudden you have all these branches spinning off, and it's like, oh, I don't know where to go. Then you get that overwhelming feeling, and then I think that's where most people stop producing their books, because they just get so overwhelmed with all the different directions the story can go that, yeah, it's like they just stop working on it. And it's like, and you end up with two versions. There's two different people, two different reactions to that. You have the person who they have their story, but they never make it out of issue 1. And what usually they end up doing is that they keep remaking issue 1, issue 1, issue 1, because as they try to write further into the story, they end up changing stuff that they feel the need to have to, like, oh, I can't start the story like this again. So they're constantly doing it. And also it's a whole thing. Oh, but my artwork is so much better now. So I mean, I know a guy who probably has like 8 iterations of his issue 1, Nicholas says, so is there a big gap in story to comic that skips editing, pruning down? No, absolutely there is. And I think that's kind of like part of the problem as to why so few people finish their comic. I've just had to learn to accept my first issue is shitty and accept it. All our first issues are shitty. You're not alone. All our first issues are shitty. Right. Yeah, and that's usually what happens, right? So they end up like retconning constantly, and they never make it past issue 1. And it's like by that point, it's like, look, once you have 8 issue 1s as opposed to having an issue 8, I think by that point you can say you're not serious. Like, you know what? It's like, maybe don't worry about doing a comic. How about just actually finish your story, edit it down, and then worry about the comic, right? But that also leads to the discussion about, everything has to be monetized now, right? And then the other side of that coin is it are the people who they push through, they continue making that, those issues, and then they get to a point where the story is too frayed for them to really continue, and it's like, and then that's when they usually they decide that they're not going to do it anymore. They just disappear, Oh, there you go. You see, but I hope to make a shitty issue 1 someday. You will be ahead of so many people. And Jared says, my first issue is seriously bad, but I keep promising people the second will be better and bring things together. I mean, it's like, look, the whole point is that every subsequent issue, it should be better. Yeah, after comparison, hyper monetization is such a dream killer. It really is. And I think that also that's part of the issue. Like I said, whatever Vest does, I am there. I am first in line. So but the thing is, though, it's like I said, it's like I see so many other people who don't even make it that far. Like I said, most people, they flame out after the third issue. Like that's where they disappear, right? Actually, I think most people barely make it after their issue one. They do the issue one. It doesn't get the reaction that they feel entitled to, I guess, because there's a lot of entitlement in these circles. That's for sure. People think that just because they're putting out an issue one, they deserve a $10,000 campaign. And that's not how it works at all. And then it's like, they just poof, right? They just disappear. So the mistake that I made when I was doing Tall Tales, because Tall Tales is technically a completed story. So I had no excuse to take as long as I did, as long as I am on finishing that series, because it's not like the story is changing or the story has changed. I mean, it's like, it's like the thing that I also want to accomplish in 2025 is to lay out those missing two issues 7 and 8 for the Tall Tale story arc, Tears of the Mother. Because I was telling Jose yesterday that it's like, yeah, that was always my big regret, that I had overestimated my ability to do two comics at the same time. And I had completely underestimated how hyper fixated I would become on Eagle Raven until it's finished. Like I had thought that, like between issues, I could have worked on those two Tall Tales issues. And it's like, no, I have to like finish. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that I don't want to make the same mistakes on Eagle Raven that I made on Tall Tales, where I was like literally putting out an issue a year. And for the amount of story that I had in Eagle Raven, I didn't want it to take longer than I needed to be. So we're talking about me trying to fit originally 16 issues in 5 years. Actually, it's like technically it would have been 4 years, but that's not, it's like the whole Kickstarter cycle, it doesn't allow me to put out books that fast. And especially once you've also put in another 4 trades in there, then it's like, okay, now we're looking at that I will technically have Eagle Raven absolutely completed in 2025, but you're probably not going to see the actual final issue until 2027 unless I make the decision to put out these books faster, which I can't. Even if I decide to put them faster, I can only draw as fast as I can already. Let's see. I can't accept any should haves when the current result of your work is so amazing. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you. I mean, it's like not for nothing. I do have, a whole stack of books to show for my effort. It's like a stop, disappear at issue 3. I did not do. So yeah, but I think that as long as I have the main Eagle Raven story complete, that's, it's going to take as long as it takes for me to put it on Kickstarter. But here is also the thing, right, that Visenia was doing that made me think of the title of the show, which is Do You Even Have Hobbies? Because the fact that Visenia had been able to even accomplish what she did around everything else that she's been doing, I think, that's worthy of praise, in and of itself. Like usually, she runs her stream, her Twitch stream, and I usually have it, running in the background while I'm working. So I'm listening to her talk and do whatever. And every time this woman is on screen, she's making something, she's doing something, she's building something, she's gluing something together, she's doing diamond paints. It's like she's able to do, like, she does all this different comic book artwork on her Patreon. based on her role-playing characters. And then like she does like this whole fan art thing, this whole fan art comic that she does on her Patreon. I mean, it is just like a tremendous amount of work that for me to sit here going, oh, you should finish your comic. It's like, Jesus Christ, like how entitled is that of me? When I'm seeing so much work come from her, that it's like, do the comic. It's like, look, no matter what you do, I'm there. So it's good. Um, and let's see. Thank you for recognizing that customer fatigue is a real thing too. Even if you could crank it out in 1 year, your personal market may not be able to financially support it. And yeah, and that's kind of the other irony of this whole thing too. That it's like, yeah, even if I could just crank out these issues, are the people supporting me like I mean, it's like maybe they need the extra time in between issues in order to get themselves together. Melissa says, I wish I could be that productive. It's awesome, yeah, I know it's absolutely crazy what she does. It's like you are a customer, it's your duty to be entitled. you know um you know so she does like all these hobbies, right? Oh, and mind you, and she animates on top of everything, right? So I'm sitting here watching her go from animating graphics, to diamond painting, to doing 3D modeling, to like she's currently building this, like doing like this party stuff for her sister, like really elaborate stuff, um like there, and it's like on top of the comics, on top of the commissions, and it's like, and it kind of like made me like go, it's like, holy shit, it's like yeah, like what am I doing when I'm not drawing my comics? Like I literally can't say, like I have an idea of hobbies, like the things that I enjoy outside of, of doing my work. But you see, the strange thing about it is that my hobbies is watching other people do their hobbies. My hobbies is watching other people, actually do their hobbies while I'm working. And I don't know, that kind of like put me in a weird mental space, because it's like is this like a youth thing? I mean, is this like are hobbies something that, like, maybe if you're younger and have more energy, you're able to actually do and have like this separate mental space from the work that you're doing? Because also that could be the problem too, with why she's probably like lost some interest in Celestial Pulse, because Celestial Pulse is the work, and she'd rather be doing hobbies. And it kind of she kind of brought up this really interesting middle ground for that. When consumption of creativity is a valid hobby, like Melissa says, I started doing book nooks because there are times I want to be creative, but I'm too tired to come up with a drawing idea. I need some low effort creating from time to time. Yeah, I guess that's like what it is, but because I'm so hyper focused on finishing stuff, that kind of like committing myself to a separate hobby is kind of like I'm not able to do that. It's like I either do one or the other, and I'd rather, finish my book. So like the closest thing that I have to a hobby that I spend time on is just reading my smutty books over here. That's pretty much like the closest thing to a hobby that I have, because it's not doing anything except reading, and as opposed to like, well, if I'm spending the time to make something, why am I not working on my comic, right? So so Vess was talking about how she wanted to finish her series, Celestial Pulse. And then what she wanted to do is that she wanted to like not like do regular comics anymore, but she wanted to do the equivalent of doing like these little short, like these little short comics where they're just more scenes rather than a full narrative. And the the thing that that I thought was interesting is like technically I had been doing that already. I had been doing something similar where I'm sure that if you remember my Facebook a while, a while ago, where I would have like my little doodles, because like I have like these sketchbooks where whenever I just have like a random idea, um, it's like I would just put it in, my sketchbook and just like, and then it's like I would just post it randomly to Facebook. So it would just be like these little random scenes that I would just, post. There's some pieces I'd never even bothered to put, but like every time I had like a dopey idea, I would just put it in the sketchbook, and that would kind of like be enough for me. So it's like maybe like, and what I found recently is going back to this, going back to putting in all these random thoughts and maybe like story, like this is a short based on a short story that I'm kind of working on. Where it's like I had this like really silly idea where Loki accidentally turns Daniel into a werewolf and hilarity ensues. And I finally got it to like I finally got it to work as like kind of like a short story. But here's like the thing that I have, like, as much as I would like to do that, right? To finish like these little stories, because in the end I realized that writing these stories is my hobby. This is my hobby because it's like they're kind of like low stakes, and and it's like I'm just like, just trying, like thinking on paper. And we need the story. We need Werewolf Daniel. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And you see, so this actually, what's funny is that, like Nicholas brings up the point that Visenia ended up bringing up on her thing too. So she wants to finish the main storyline for Celestial Pulse, and then she just wants to go to do like these little stories, right? Like kind of like the same ones that I've been doing here, but she like draws them out, she puts them on Patreon, and all they are just like these little snippets, right? And the funny thing is that when I sat down thinking about what she was saying, like, it's like if she had started, like if she had just wanted to just continue doing that now and not finish her book, like I would be okay with that. Like if she just wanted to do little Celestial Pulse stories, and because even with what the few issues that I've read of her book, I'm invested in the characters. It's like there's still, a lot of mystery to them and this, that, and the other thing. But like I'm invested to the characters already. So if she were to put out like this little random story that like it has like even the fact that I wouldn't know what the context is, I'd be okay with that. I would enjoy that story. Right? So Nicholas, right, is talking about, well, that was part of my original idea. He says, like, so genuinely serious question. Why not just do your fun little things and then publish them at the end as an annual anthology of stories? Well, that's where I started with Tales from the Outer Kingdoms, which is all the stories that didn't like that I'd like to do, but they don't fit in the main storyline, but they're also kind of random too. Like I did an entire story of Eagle Raven going to a doctor because I thought it was just like funny. The thought, like, would Eagle Raven go to a doctor or would she go to a veterinarian? And I did an entire story, kind of, just like it was like an 8-page story, just exploring that thought, that blip of a thought. And the funny thing is that, like, those types of stories, did you really need to read the main storyline to just enjoy that one little story? Like, in the end, does it matter? Right? And, so Vess is talking about, doing this thing, and it's like, oh shit, I had been doing a variation of that all this time. But I just like had this hang up that people had to know the main storyline to understand these characters or have an interest or this, that, and the other thing. And then it's like, wait a minute. Like, that's not how I react to her stuff. Like I said, she could decide not to do finish Celestial Pulse and just release those little stories and pinups and like, yeah, oh, a meal. Oh, look, 2 cakes, yeah, I mean, it's like, like the What If books, right? And it's like, do you just need to know enough of the or is it just something like, if it's interesting, it's interesting. And if you like my artwork and if you like the way these characters vibe, like if you like the vibe, does it matter if there's no overarching story that goes with it? And so this had me just really thinking, but also the thing is too, it's like watching Visenia, right? Like she does like animation, like she was saying like how she did like one animated graphic. Like, oh, she did it in a couple of hours and then she posted it up, right? And then it's like she goes how she was gifted a 3D printer and she goes like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna learn how to do 3D printing. And she just did it. She just learned how to do the program. Now she's constantly 3D printing everything. And let's see. Imaginos says planning the scope of any work can be a challenge. And what's funny? And I think that's part of the problem as to why I have a hard time just doing things as opposed to just, as a, it's like like she does these little animated graphics, right? There is nothing stopping me from doing an 8 frame animated graphic. There is absolutely nothing stopping me from doing it. I know I can do it, but I don't, because the problem is that I start overthinking what I have to do. Like, could I learn how to use a 3D program and make my own 3D toys if I wanted to? There's no reason for me to think otherwise, that I couldn't do that. But then I start overthinking as to, oh, but then it's like I have to learn the program and there's a learning curve. And then it's like, instead of doing that, I should be finishing my books and blah, blah, blah. And, so it's kind of like I just start like overthinking. And I think that that's why I enjoy watching other people do crafts, because then the pressure is not on me to do it, but I get to enjoy it vicariously. Because honestly, if there was a hobby I would pick up in earnest, it's embroidery. Like I used to do it a lot when I was younger, and and it just like that's the one thing that, like, the hoop and everything, like I would be sitting there like a cloistered monk working on a tapestry. Like that's, if there is one hobby I would pick up, it would be that. But again, it's like, when do I have the time to do this? I have this unfinished comic, I have another unfinished comic. When am I going to have the time to do that, right? So the other thing, and that's also something that I thought of too. It's like, all the little stories are excellent advertising for the main product. Folks will read the little story and go, wait, who is this Eagle Raven character? I need more. Well, that's kind of the idea I'd like to think of as well. Um, you know, uh, well, you see that, but that's the thing though, because now that I have a Wacom, moving, I watch the show while I'm working on pages. So it's kind of like, this is the spiral that I'm in, right? Um, that so it's like, yeah, so it just has, so watching Vicinia come up with the solution, because like I said, like in the end, also the other hobby that I realized, well, again, related to this, was that after I got off of social media and I started like writing outlines for all these other stories that I wanted to do, that's when I realized that writing is probably my actual hobby right now. That it's like, I think the thing that keeps throwing me off with what's a hobby and what's not a hobby is, like it's this whole need to monetize, right? And it's like, and I'm writing these stories, right? Like I told, I like, one of the stories that I spoke about before is the whole story with the five dragons, the five dragon friends, right? And and it's like, and it's like, I kind of like doing that, like coming up with like these story snippets and then trying to find solutions for them and like trying to make a narrative of it. But like at the same time, I also just like doing stupid shit, in my book, Um, like just doing like these little things. Like, oh, this is the cartoon that I did a whole series based on FIFA, on Loki watching the World Cup, and it's like stupid shit like that, that makes no sense, you know, out of the context of whatever dumb thing I'm doing in this sketchbook, you know? Um, and it's, and it's like, but then it's like, I have this thing in the back of my head. It's like, okay, but how am I going to monetize that? And then the idea is like, well, why do I have to monetize it? I mean, and then it's like, I started remembering how people reacted to these things when I was posting them to Facebook. It's like, yeah, oh, I did this whole series of me and Loki playing Seeds of Chaos, the erotic video game that I play. I did an entire, I could literally do an entire zine just with all the cartoons that I made, that I made on that. And I was just randomly posting them to Facebook, and a lot of you guys actually liked those. You liked the randomness, I mean, it's like, did you have to know the characters? Like, you just needed like the vague, and it's not like Loki has appeared officially in any actual narrative that, where an actual story is involved. He was just a pinup that I was fucking around with, and everybody resonated with the character for some reason. I didn't even need a story for him. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's like, I guess like the Sergio Aragonés stuff, right? That it's just like so random that it doesn't matter. Like, you're reading it more for vibes, that it's like, oh, I don't know who this character is. Yeah, we love your stupid shit. you know, and and that's kind of like the thing too, where it's like, do I really need to monetize this? Like, really, it's like, honestly, like the main series makes more sense to be monetized because that's what that is. But what about all this random stuff? Like, does it matter? Can I just put it on a Patreon? Can I just like, oh, sign up for my newsletter and you get to see my stupid shit? You get to see it for free, but you're on my newsletter. Like, maybe that's what I should go, or it's like, oh, it's like, pay me $2 on Patreon and I'll let you see it, or something, um, but it's kind of like it's something that it could kind of this is my oh, so this is my hobby. you know this is my hobby. Well, also you gotta HR, you gotta remember that the one page joke is how I ended up with medieval unicorn Viking slut. It started as a joke in this book. Well, it started as a joke on Facebook, and then I made a corresponding drawing that went with it. And everybody had such a reaction to it. I spent the next year actually making a medieval unicorn Viking slut comic. That was a lot of fun. I do have to admit, it's like it didn't exactly do what I thought it was going to do on Kickstarter, but I had too much fun to be that mad at it. But that's kind of you know so yeah, so it's like, did I have hobbies all this time, but because I always had this thing about monetizing, I didn't realize they were a hobby. I was just treating everything as like work or potential work. um like I said, that's why, like, when I watch, because what's funny is that the videos that have really gotten into the habit of watching, like, because like I said, if there was, I would take up embroidery definitely. So I'm watching embroidery videos constantly, right? But like then it's like I follow this woman. I forgot what her name was. I don't know a lot of the YouTubers by name, but it's like all she does is zines. And that's also another thing that kind of like dovetails into this, is that she just does zines. She does the little Xeroxes thing. She just folds them up, and then it's like she just does, and it's like, so I watch her do zines, and I'm like going, oh, like and I've had done variations of that too. So it's like, oh yeah, like I would do that, right? And then like the more highfalutin one is that I watch this guy named Bliss Foster, who does fashion runway commentary. And and I just watch. I know more about Rick Owens and Margella than that I have any reason to know. I have no reason to know this or any of this stuff. But my hobby is watching this guy wax poetically about, you know, the the how Hermes is run or something, Um, and also like how much money Hermes really spends to save traditional bespoke craftsmanship in an age of industrialization. Like Hermes owns the only handcrafted leather glove workshop in all of France. There's only one guy left. And Hermes owns it, not because it's like they want to keep a monopoly on this guy, but because it's like, we have to pay you and train your successors in order to keep this craft going. So I ended up with a lot of respect for Hermes and what they're doing and keeping a lot of these traditional crafts alive. Um, you know especially it's like when you hear, like, especially like in Japan, how a lot of like traditional crafts are dying out because nobody wants to learn how to do it, and it usually takes a lot of outsiders to keep traditions of that culture alive. And it's just like kind of like, and Hermes is trying to, it's like, you see, I'm already going into something that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about now, but that's why I enjoy watching that stuff, right? Because I guess tangentially, it's about art and craft and the care of that craft. And honestly, and to tell you the truth too, especially nowadays with, like people just like jerking off to AI so much, both literally and figuratively. I mean, like the more they try to push AI, the more I need to do something with my hands that's legal. I mean, like the more like like with the House of Bob thing, right? It's like what I really like about doing these commissions is that they give me a chance to do traditionally done artwork. You know, with all the digital work that I do, it's like, oh, I can do things with my hand. I don't have to constantly be logged on to be able to create something, you know? And I think that that's why lately, like, I've just been like really leaning towards crafts and hobbies and doing things. Yeah, it's insane times. No, really, HR. Um, you know, you know, yeah, also tickle the tisms. Yeah, no, I think that's a part of it too. You know, um, and traditional crafts are so cool. Right. And it's like, so watching Visenia do things with her hands. I mean, like in the end, like I think that the reason why I watch Bliss Foster about how he talks about high fashion and haute couture is that when you're at that level of fashion, haute couture is not about like ridiculous shit. You know, like, oh, look at the, you know, like, especially if you look at somebody like Rick Owens, it's like for the longest time, you know, I'm like, I don't understand the appeal of Rick Owens. Like, what is it with this weird stuff that he's doing? It's like, I don't get it. And then he explained it in a video where haute couture is about craftsmanship. It's not, it's about, it's almost like a form of engineering in textiles. So the shit that Rick Owens is doing, if if you look at it as who the fuck would wear that, then yeah, you're not going to get it. But if you look at it as how did he get that particular fabric to be structurally sound under those design circumstances? You know? Um like when you start looking at it like that, it becomes a different thing. Then it's like, oh, now I see what you're doing. You know, it's like, I think that all this time I was taking fashion very literally. Like, again, like who would wear that when it was really about how did they do that? You know, it's like, especially with all the crazy fabrics. Again, it's like I'm kind of like getting into something that has nothing to do. Like, it's just an example, right? So it's like, yeah. So I'm watching Visenia make these 3D models, like making things with her hands. And it's like, and the fact that, yeah, her camera is on her hands and she's making things, and it's like, yeah, it's like, that's what I want to see people doing. It's like I want to see people actually, that's my hobby, watching people actually make something with their hands, and use their minds for the problem solving that using your hands creates. Along with what, Bliss Foster? He's literally that on YouTube. It's Bliss, Bliss Foster, Foster, Bliss Foster. I think that he's the type of guy that even if you're not into fashion, the way he talks about it with such passion and conviction in his interest, you can't help but pay attention. You know, um, and it's like, yeah, it's just so that's kind of like what I've been trying to like search for in the whole concept of hobbies. Like, what is it that I'm looking for in my hobbies that I'm not getting in my main artwork, that I need that break? Right. And I guess what just boils down to is that, using my brain to solve problems with my hands, because right now, working on Eagle Raven, it's like I'm it's already drawn out. So I'm just inking. So it's kind of like a bit mindless at this stage because I'm just inking, I'm just putting in the shading. So I don't have to think about the layouts anymore. I don't have to, think about, well, how is this scene going to unfold? Right. And, and but like when I work in my sketchbook, that's all I'm doing is like, okay, I have this blip of an idea. What does it look like? And because this is essentially not monetized, I don't feel like the pressure to perform on the page. Like, look, it's like, it's not even like the sketches are like, not even like they're sketches, they're and it's like if they're wrong, they're wrong, and it's like, and I don't really make a big deal about it, it's like I just let it go. It's like, well, I'm just sketching, um and it's like, and that's kind of like the thing that I guess that's what happens when a lot of people kind of like flame out um when trying to do, because they're trying to monetize something that should have just stayed a hobby. Like they probably would have gotten further on it if they just played around in a sketchbook, got the story done, and then like just kind of like just played around, like play. Like maybe if you just like played around with it as opposed to like going straight into production and on Kickstarter, maybe you would have gotten further, you know? Um but at the same time, it's like I said, it's like I'm like watching Visenia talk about doing these little short stories, and it's like, well, can you it's like, as far as it looks like to me, it's like she just wants to play, and I'm like, you know what? I'm in. I'm in. you know? And I guess I'm wondering if, if there's like something similar that I could do as well, where it's like, okay, I finished it's like if I just put out like little random cartoons, it's like, are people going to say like, I'm in, I want to see more of that, even though it makes no sense to me. I want to see more of that, but at the same, but like, am I kind of ruining it by expecting an audience? That's the thing. Like, is it by anticipating an audience, do I take away the hobby aspect of it? Even if I'm just giving it away for free, like I said, if I'm just posting it to my mailing list, or or to um I don't know, Substack or something, or on a Patreon. It's like, by expecting an audience, does it stop being a hobby? Although I did hear, so I did listen to an essay recently that posited that yes, once you anticipate an audience, even like the concept of being watched makes you change your creative energy, and it's like, and then it just becomes work again. um so but at the same time, it's like, part of my enjoying this stuff is seeing people's reactions to it, but I guess that could always come later, you know um I feel like it's my own perspective. Comics are work, but they're also fun for me. It's like, that's a really tough one for me, because it's like, I think that for me, comics is more of a, well, scratch that. The comics that I'm working on are a compulsion. More than something I'm having fun with. Because most of the time it feels more like work to me, but the final result is what I'm really working towards, because it's like, being able to see a finished book and it's like, this is the result of all my effort. You know, that's the part that I enjoy the most. Um, like, but like up until that point for me, it's work. Like, oh, I have to get this finished. Like I said, it's more of a compulsion. Which is probably, yeah, it's like Jesus. It's like, I don't know, something got triggered in me in 2020 that it's like I have to keep this momentum going. Like I have probably done more artwork these past 5 years than I have my entire than I had the entire time before 2020. You know, 30, 40 years, it's like it's just like, so I don't know, it's like it's kind of hard for me to like articulate like what exactly is going on, but I think that that's what the sketchbook is for. you know, that it's like, this is where I'm having fun, but the comic is work. The comic I have to get finished. I have to finish Eagle Raven. I have to finish Tall Tales. You know, um, but if I want to have fun, I just go to the sketchbook, or I write an outline, for a story, and that's also the other thing too, right? Um, it's like what happens after I finish Eagle Raven, after I finish the 16 issues, right? I mean, I do have a novel I want to put on a sequel. That's a novel. Um, I think I get the compulsory energy of creation. That is mission focused mindset. And then Nicholas says the changes of 2020 increased the sense of urgency. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. But I'm kind of wondering if that has more to do with just my age in general. Like, would I have had the same sense of urgency if I was 21 in 2020 than being where I am now? you know? Um, yeah, it probably just like it just exploded the sense of urgency. But I think that has more to do with my age now. And I think just the whole lockdown really narrowed that focus. Um, so yeah, but I mean, I guess in the end, right, that the whole like is hobbies in the end a young person thing? Like I was positing before. It's like, is the reason why I don't really have hobbies is because I feel this compulsion based on a sense of urgency rather than feeling like I have the time to just do something that, because also that's the thing too with the hobbies that I'm talking about. These are not one and dones, right? It's like embroidery is a hobby that takes time. You don't finish, you don't finish a piece, an embroidery piece in a weekend, or even in a couple of hours. It's like, when Visenia does a diamond painting, even the small ones they're a multi-day affair. You know, um, like they're like, even when she does her animations, the only reason she's able to do animation so quickly is because she's done so many of them that she has the muscle memory to actually finish a simple animation in a couple of hours. But like I said, if I sat down and actually did that, I could do that too. But it's just that my brain keeps like, you could have spent those 8 hours doing this animation that you're just doing to fuck around. You could have spent that 8 hours on finishing another page or another page and a half or whatever, and And I kind of wondering if maybe like the illusion of monetizing is a way I kind of convince myself to give these hobbies an importance that it wouldn't have any other way. Um Nicholas says, I think the slow time frame is necessary to reset our perspectives. And I think that that's kind of like the point of hobbies, honestly, that the reason why that they're usually not something you can rush through. Like, even when I watched this guy, what was his name? Tokyo Llama, when he was like not re no, not re- he was like rehabilitating um a house that he had bought in Japan, one of those abandoned an Akia house, which is an abandoned house in Japan. And he picked up woodworking just to be able to do the work that he needed to, because it's like the house, yeah, he got the house for cheap, but the amount of money that he's had to spend renovating, like restoring the house, um like he picked up woodworking just to be able to add that extra, to be able to save money on what he wanted in the house by doing it himself. And even then, it's like just watching his videos, you could see how it's a very slow, precise um thing, that it's like, I'm sure you must know Christine McConnell, Nicholas. Um she's pretty much like the gothiest crafting chick you could ever see on YouTube. And like this is a woman who's infuriating to watch because she says, "Oh, I've never done this before." And then she does like the most elaborate like craft project to perfection on the first try. But it took me a while to also realize that if you paid attention to how she does the projects, the reason why she's able to get it done perfectly on the first try is because you're not seeing how long it actually took for her to do that thing on video. you know, like she's also renovating this Victorian house upstate, and she's pretty much doing most of it herself. And and like I said, it's a very slow, meticulous process that she uses to get these projects right. It's like, so it looks like she's getting it done, like she's doing it perfectly on first try. But no, she's just working on those projects so slow that she's able to course correct when she sees she's beginning to make a mistake, as opposed to like getting to the end of it and going, I should have done this differently, you know? And it's the same thing with Tokyo Llama, like re, you know, rebuilding, parts of his house and the whole thing. And it's just very, very meticulous, and I guess I'm and it's like, and I guess like I feel like I don't have, what gets in the way is the fact that I don't have the patience anymore, or like I squandered the patience I used to have when I was younger to be able to build my skill set the way I would have liked. And now I'm just kind of like catching up with the skill set I have. And it's like, I don't know, and it's like, yeah, and it's like, and I don't know if I have that energy anymore to put in that type of detail, like attention to detail, that a hobby that the hobbies that I would be interested in would require. So in the end, it's like, that's why I would rather, my hobby is watching other people enjoy their hobbies. you know um it's like, yeah, so I don't know, I guess like the whole thing though is that we really, the problem is that we all really do need to step back from time to time and not get so deep in the, oh, have to hustle, have to constantly work, have to, we have to constantly be moving forward, like, and there are just times where you do just have to step back and do something else. And yeah, maybe hobbies happen to force us to rebuild our patience. It's part of the journey that makes us grow quietly. And yeah, I think that's kind of the reality that I fight with, that I'm fighting with, like I said, it's like there's two things. It's the patience that it requires to do a job well done, a hobby well done. Um, Although the question is, why does it need to be well done anyway, right? But that leads into the whole thing that it's like, well, if you think you have an audience for your hobby, does it stop being a hobby? Um, and it's like, and and also, like the whole thing with vests and the little, like the little vignettes and the little, the little short stories, it's like maybe like I'm thinking too much about how connected people need to be to the main story in order to just enjoy whatever I put out. Again, the overthinking. Well, how can you enjoy this if you don't know what the whole story is? But how many times have I enjoyed something just by looking at a character and go, yeah, give me more of that. Give me more of that character. And I know nothing about them. Or it's like, yeah, I mean, so why do I think everyone else is going to be different when I'm doing the same thing? You know? Yeah, yeah, well done has to be carefully applied. It leads to comparison. You know? Um, so yeah, so that's kind of like where my mind is right now, you know? So, so that's kind of like where I am, and I'm still trying to like sort everything out and what I'm going to do, because it's like, because I've been telling Nita some of the stories and additions to the stories that that I had been adding. Um, and the thing is like there might be, like parts of my story that I'm working on that you guys will never get to see in any sort of like real narrative, right? And I guess I'm trying to reconcile that, because it's like, yeah, like I have like some novels that I want to write, but then it's like there's all these other side things that it's like there is no narrative. Like there's no like maybe like there is, but it's so like short that it's like it's not anything, right? Because it's like, because what does it mean to anybody, right? Um, when what does it mean to anybody like right now if I were to say it's like, hey guys, I decided to give Eagle Raven a baby. What do you think? So on that note, so I want to thank everybody for joining me, keeping me company in the chat. Thank you. It's like, thank you so much everybody for keeping me company and kind of like helping me kind of like go through this this I don't know, this kind of like this, I don't know, this little confusion that I've been putting myself through, because it's all self-induced. All this overthinking is self-induced. And yeah, I want to thank you, my beautiful eyeball people watching it. Oh no, I'm not that crazy, Nicholas. He doesn't need that type of stress in his life. Oh my God. And I want to thank all of my beautiful eyeball people, keeping me in the background where I seem to belong right now, just rambling. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's like sometimes I think like this show is just literally like, oh, let's just all just talk and see what happens. you know, like kind of like, if I were like, I don't know, except there's no cup of coffee anywhere, except maybe on your desks or something. Um, so that's but yes, but thank you so much for everyone keeping me company today. Like I said, I'm hoping that that Nita will be able to join us again. Um next week, because like I said, it's like we try to we try to schedule these things, and the fates will do whatever they want. So that's where we're at. So where am I? If you want to learn more about me and my artwork and my nonsense and the shit in my sketchbook, stupid things that I come up with, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can read Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn for free. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales. That's TAILS online.com. And you could read the entire archive there, over 1,000 pages of furry Lord of the Rings adventure. I don't know how else to explain it, but yeah, it's a lot of reading. It'll keep you busy. Tall Tales Online will definitely keep you busy. And don't forget, while you're there, to sign up for my newsletter. We can keep up to date with all of my new art, my sketchbooks, my comics, my Kickstarters, and get free PDFs just for joining. You can get PDFs of Eagle Raven, Tall Tales, and the Oswald Chronicles for free for you to try out. See what all this rambling is about. All you have to do is just scan the QR code or go to the websites and then sign up for my newsletter there. Also, remember, Eagle Raven, Heir the First Unicorn issue 12 is on pre-launch on Kickstarter. Link is in the chat and in the show notes. And also, House of Bob has 1 week left on Kickstarter as well. Link in the chat. Remember, it's the only place you can get commissions from me. And also by now, I will be, after the show, I'm going to be taking all of the blind bags and putting what's left over in the add-ons. So if you were waiting for your chance to get one, hopefully nobody just snatches everybody, because you know how people be with blind bags and blind boxes. So thank you so much again for keeping me company. Like I said, it's like I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing a stream this Wednesday. Things, again, the fates do what the fates do, but we'll see. And in the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work, because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you next time.
Hear me. The Thorn Valley Plan is the aspiration of idiots and dreamers. We were just talking about you.
That's refreshing, Jenner. Usually you're screaming about us.